Mr. Jack Hanley, thanks for joining me, mate.
Thanks for having me on, mate. I've been looking forward to this for a while.
Feels like yesterday we were out in the footy field, mate.
I know, it was the glory days back down at when I was playing at St Peter's and you were at Ormond. We had a few good tussles down at Gun.
Weren't you? I saw you were Dingley.
Nah, no, I was Bina. I reckon I played you when I played for Bina and then St Peter's. We had a few good clashes with the Mondas back in the day.
Yeah, I remember you being an absolute tank because I did a few. I was in the ruck, not ruck rover, the rover.
Yeah,
and I wasn't very skilled, but I was okay at running, so they often put me on the good runners. So I remember you running me to ground, mate, back in the day. So it's good to finally chat to you. And I've been looking and admiring, I guess, from afar for a while, and sort of you were one of those people that I was like, we'll probably have a chat one day.
Yeah.
When I saw him, when I first followed you, I was like, this is someone that I'll probably connect with. And then when you messaged me after Troy's, thought it would be worthwhile getting you on. But at that stage, I was like 15 weeks ahead. So
I know you've been a busy man, mate.
Been a very busy man. Now, I normally don't start conversations like this, but I was going through your Instagram and I saw this little flick of you as a young one. Looking at that photo, what would you tell him?
It's a great question, but I'd tell him that you got to in life you got to chase your dreams, and whatever cards you're dealt, there's always a way to come back from anything in life, and we're going to go through tough times along the way, but there's always a way back, and there's light at the end of the tunnel, and. Yeah, he's been through a lot, that young fella, but I'm glad that we're here today and we get to chat and unravel a few things, and it'll be good to get to chat to you about those things.
Take me back to the young days.
Yeah, so grew up with my mum, Julie. Unfortunately, my dad passed away when I was 3. He went out for a run one day and had a heart attack. Which was, I can't really remember him at all. I have no memories of him. But yeah, that was pretty tough for my mum growing up. But she's been an absolute rock for me along the way. She's always been there supporting me, giving me everything that I needed. I had a great upbringing. So it was my mum, and then I have my uncle, the clumsy riding man. Who's been a big part of my life. He's been there the whole way through my journey, through the ups and downs. He's really been my father figure along the way. And then I've had my grandma, who's an absolute queen, and she supported me through everything. And then I've had also my mum's partner, Pat, who she met when I was in year 7 at school. So he's been a big part of my life as well. But yeah, I had a great upbringing, only child, always into my sports, loved playing footy, loved catching up with mates, always loved being on the go. Loved going to the footy, watching Carlton play. Unfortunately, since I've been alive, we haven't been too good, the Baggers, but we come in positive every year. But yeah, childhood memories were very good.
How much of an impact, or not an impact, but do you think that childhood shaped you into who you are today? Because I spoke to one of your friends in preparation for this, and I think what you had said to him was that you weren't 100% sure as to whether that childhood had influenced the path that I guess you took, or the path that you've been on. Do you want to put your phone on mute?
Yeah, I'll do. It's in that jacket over there. Sorry, mate. I thought I did. Yeah, it's something that just this year, actually, I've started to probably dive into a bit more. I've been speaking to a psychologist actually about that. So it's something that I'm actually really unpacking at the moment, because it's I think it's definitely something that has shaped me into who I am today, and it's probably something that I've needed to dig a bit deeper into. Obviously losing my father at such a young age and not having too many memories of him is something that I've tried to get to know a bit more about and speak to my mum about, and speak to the psychologist about, to see if there is some things from my childhood that has affected me in the way and affected my journey and into the person that I am. So it's something that I'm going to keep diving into. I don't know. I think as we'll probably unpack a bit more into the podcast, it's obviously my dad passed away from a heart attack while running, and I don't know. That's something that I love my running. So I don't know. It's funny how the world works and the stars align, but I think that might have something to do with why I'm so passionate about running and a few other things.
What made you want to unpack it?
I think I've had along the way. I've had some trouble with addictions along the way, and it's something that is always going to be there in my life, and something that I'm going to have to control. And I think just this year, actually, like I've had a few little slip ups, probably more than slip ups, where I've progressed back into my old behaviours that I honestly thought I probably never would get back to that stage. And I think that may have what's happened with my dad and my childhood may have had a bit of an effect on these addictions and why I'm doing these things. So I really want to get to the bottom of it, because it's something, that I want to remove from my life. As I said, it's always going to be there, addiction, but it's something that I'm going to have to control. But as I said, I was going back to this year, like it's been a bit of a hasn't quite been to the start to the year that I would have liked, but I had to accept where I was at. Usually I've been able to bounce back when I've had a couple little slip ups along the way, but this time around I was really battling, and I had to. First thing I had to do was accept it, like that's where I was at. Second thing I had to do, all right, let's do something about it, and I couldn't do it on my own. I've been speaking to a psychologist, speaking to my friends, speaking to my loved ones, getting some support, and it's certainly helping us get back on track.
You mentioned the why before. So that's still something you're trying to figure out?
Yeah, it's definitely trying to still figure out everything that's causing it. There's been a few I know there's some things that have happened in the last sort of 12 months that have caused me to go back to those habits and to using it to get by for the way that I was feeling internally, which we can probably dive into a bit more.
Yeah, dive in.
Yeah, like obviously I finished a big running challenge that I did. I ran 100K every day for 100 days. Did a big fundraiser for a mental health charity that was started up called Miles for Smiles. Absolutely loved every minute of the 100 days. I had plenty of ups and downs along the way, highs and lows, which is always going to be expected. But two big passions of mine are mental health and running. So I finished that on December 25th, Christmas Day was the last day. I had nothing more to give. I was done. Since then, obviously, you have your highs up here. There's always going to be a little low period afterwards, and there was a few things that happened along the way that it's really had a bad effect on me. Affected my mental health a fair bit.
During the run, obviously.
Yeah, it was during the run towards the back end. There's a few things that was going on at my old footy club, De La Salle, that a few things that was getting said, and I'm not going to dive into the full details of them. But it sort of just, really, really affected myself. It also affected my uncle, the riding man. And obviously we still wanted to front up every day. We had 100K. I had a challenge to do. I wanted to show up every day. This is what I wanted to do. And it's sort of, after the run finished, I sort of just went through this real low period. And I started questioning my own integrity, questioning myself, had I done something wrong? But it's only just recently that I realised, and after speaking to a lot of people that were close to me, that I realised I hadn't done anything wrong, which I knew I hadn't, but you still, sometimes I overthink in my head. So it was, it was honestly that did have a big effect on me. I'm not blaming it for everything, but I know myself, who I am and the way I hold myself. And it was just disappointing to hear some people that were pretty close to me as well question the person I am. And, some people hear things and people get talking, but they don't get their facts right. And that was probably the most disappointing thing. And I love the footy club that I played at, De La Salle. Love being playing there for the last 12 years, went to school, and to hear some of the things some of the people were saying was pretty disappointing, but that's life.
The coping mechanism for that, what was that? How did you deal with that?
I didn't deal with it the right way. It became too much for me and I slipped in some bad habits. I've started using cocaine more regularly than I would have liked. Obviously I wouldn't have liked to at all, but it sort of went from being a slip up to progressing a little bit, sort of 2-3 days in a row. For about a 3-month period there, I had a bit of time off. It wasn't every day. I wasn't fully back to the way I was, but yes, it wasn't the right way to deal with things. And as I said, I had to accept it first because I was sort of, oh no, I can bounce back from this. I can do this, but I couldn't do it myself. And that's what I will always preach to other people. You don't have to do it yourself. And I had to reach out. And you know what, we're back on track, Darcy. And as I always say to everyone, there's always a way back. And that's what I want to keep preaching to other people. And a problem halved is a problem solved. So
for someone who doesn't have addiction and they're bouncing, from what you've said, you've bounced between, good times and bad times and just sort of gone on a path. For someone that doesn't have that tendency, can you try and describe what it's like?
Yeah, like obviously I do things to the extreme. And through this last 3-month period, I haven't been able to run too much either. I've had a few little injuries that I've had to deal with, and that's that's life. Like you're not going to always be up. Like you're going to have these setbacks in life, and I was sort of in my head when things have got real bad, where I can't exercise, I can't do these things that I would like to do. I've slipped back into some bad habits, and I've bounced from being able to, run and exercise because that's what I use to make myself feel a lot better. When I am having a bad day, I'll go for a run, I'll go to the gym, but when things get really bad in my head, I've tended to go back to using cocaine to get by, and it'll work for an hour, but it actually has a negative effect on me. It makes me feel a lot worse, paranoid, anxious. Doesn't have a good effect, and I was isolating, and it's certainly not the way to deal with things, and it's always going to be there for me. But I've certainly along the way in the last sort of 4 years of my life, I've been able to grow and find tools to be able to cope with this, cope with these addictions. But yeah, as I said, I'm still a work in progress. I'm not going to be perfect, and I don't want to be perfect, but I want to continue to grow and learn and better myself every day. And as I said, when you're trying to do it on your own, it's no good because there's plenty of help out there, and there's people that want to support you. And that's the biggest takeaway that I've taken away from the last 3 months is definitely don't try and do it yourself. Lean on people for support. Doesn't have to be friends. It doesn't have to be family. It could be a psychologist, but it could be those friends or family as well, whoever it is. But just speak about it.
I've been told that perhaps you're not the best person. Like you sort of do things on your own sometimes, perhaps, and you're not, sometimes good at, reaching out when times are tough. Would you say that is accurate?
Yeah, for sure.
Why is that?
For sure. So like I do reach out when I've got, I've had little problems, but as I said, when I do get to this stage, I tend not to reach out.
Why's that?
I think I've just been so adamant that I could do it on my own at times, and been a bit stubborn. But it's not, I've certainly found out that I can't. And I don't want to either. Like this last sort of 5 weeks of my life has been unreal. I've loved every minute of it. And I've been connecting with my friends, family, loved ones, talking how I'm feeling. And that's what I want to keep preaching to others. So I preach to others to do that. So I want to do that as well. Because it's, as I said before, a problem halved is a problem solved. There's no need to do it on your own.
There are a few people in your life that were pretty fearful around 6-7 weeks ago. Why do you think that was?
Yeah, it was something. Yeah, honestly, it was, as I said before, it's something I didn't think I would progress back to where I was, but I was using cocaine a fair bit, and I was at a real low point, and I was worried that I was going to progress to the way I was back in 2020, 2019, and yeah, I'd never want to go back to that stage ever again, because it's not. I don't like that person I was, and it's not a good way to live life. There's more to life than living that lifestyle. So, yeah, it's been good to be able to turn it around, and it's, as I've always said, there's always a way back, and you've got to speak openly about how you're actually really going, and you got to own it.
What would I have seen if I saw you at the lowest point?
Yeah, as in lowest point back in the
6
day
weeks
or
ago.
6 weeks ago.
Yeah. And I'm assuming that they sounds, well, no, 2020 sounds worse than what it was.
Yeah.
Maybe take me back to the lowest day and what it was like 6 weeks ago in comparison.
Yeah, so back in 2020 was definitely the lowest point in terms of how I was feeling mentally and with my addictions. I was using cocaine pretty much every day to get by. I was really struggling during COVID. I couldn't see friends, couldn't see family, and I thought that was what was going to make me feel better, using cocaine every day. And probably my lowest point at that stage was I ended up having a seizure at my grandma's house in July 2020. And that was the thing that really sort of woke me up to make a change. I went to rehab, did a month in rehab. And then after that, came out, and since then I've been trying to been on this path of growth and trying to better myself and really improving my life. But yeah, 6 weeks ago, the type of person you would have seen is someone that was isolating, didn't really want to see friends, family, was lying, wasn't exercising much, didn't really want to do much. And yeah, it was just a shell of who I was. And yeah, just someone that, I wasn't liking who I was, but I had to do something about it. And I was still speaking to psychologists along the way, but as I said to you before, I probably was going to myself, no, it's all right, it's just a slip up. But it was more than that. I had to own where I was at. All right, I have slipped back into some real bad habits. Own that. Let's do something about it. And that's what I've got to work on. And as I said, the best thing to do when you're at a stage like that, and it's hard for a lot of people. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that will listen to this and go, I'm in that position. But connection, speaking to others, getting help is the way to go about it.
Is it hard for you to, like you said, you didn't like that person? Looking back on where you've come, Like, when you're in that situation, like, what is it? Because like I said, I asked the question before. What do you think, or what is someone who hasn't gone through addiction thinking? You know, like, I'm just trying to understand the mindset that actually causes you to just go, fuck it, nothing else matters, you know?
Yeah, it's one of those things. Addiction is, I become very selfish, and I don't care about anything else except myself at that time. And that's not saying I'm going to, go and like whatever I'm going through, I'm going to go do it. If I've made up my mind, I'm going to go do that. And that's when the addiction side of things takes over, and that takes over my brain. And it's, a lot of it's impulsive as well. Like, all right, a thought will come in and I'll be like, that's what I'm going to go do now. And that's something that I'm really working hard on. And I've got some strategies from my psychologist to be able to deal with when I do get these thoughts and impulsive thoughts that are coming through. So I've been able to use some of those strategies as well. But the biggest key is actually picking up the phone and speaking about it before it happens. And something that I've really struggled with even through my journey over the last four years since I have started turning my life around. It's still something that I've struggled with is picking up the phone before going out and getting a bag of cocaine. Happy to, once I do it, I don't lie about it. I'll tell friends, family, everyone. But it's that preventing it from happening, which is what I've really struggled with, and something now that when I do get that thought, I am picking up the phone. Because it might not happen for 6 months, it might not happen for a year, but it's something that's always going to be there in your life. And it's something that I'm going to have to deal with and control and find solutions and strategies to be able to deal with that. And obviously I have been able to do it through exercise, something that I love and something that's great for your mental health. But sometimes you're not going to be able to exercise. You're going to have injuries. You're going to have setbacks. So you got to have a great support network around you, and that's another key that I've really found helped me. And luckily that I've got a great family that have always been there for me, and I've got a great close network of friends that are there to support me.
There was a person in your life who stated that six weeks ago they were pretty fearful that it was all sort of too much for you. Would you say that as accurate?
Yep.
It's hard, man. What made you realize that, there was more?
Firstly, I wanted to change because I wanted to do it for myself, and I know the life that I had been living and what life is about and the better life that is out there. And I also want to help others out there, because obviously I had slipped back into some real bad habits, but I've also over the last 4 years been able to show people that there is a way back and there's a better life out there. So you get knocked down, you get back up again, and that's something that I'll always do. And I hope it doesn't ever happen again, and I'm confident now that it's not going to happen again. That's honestly how I feel it in my head, and I've made the decision that I never ever want to drink again. I never want to do any of that again, because I'd always sort of, I'd do a big challenge, and then I'd say, I'd be good training for 6 months. I'd have that focus, that goal, and then that goal would finish, and all right, I'm a bit lost. So there's things that I'm doing now that I'm changing to be able to. Obviously, I'm going to always have big goals and have these challenges. That's what I love to do, and I love bringing people together. But when I'm not going to be doing that forever. I can't be just running 100K every day for 100 days. So I've got to find other things in my life. And I've done lot of writing down over the last sort of month and put a list together of things that I'm going to work towards that aren't big goals like that, where it's physical challenges, but things in my life that I want to do to be able to, enjoy life and get to where we want to get to. So, but yeah, I also, there was a bit of shame there as well. Shame. I'd never say I was embarrassed. But there was a bit of shame and guilt there.
Why's that?
Because of how far I had come and the message that I am trying to get across to people. There was a bit of shame and guilt around going back to the way I was. But I probably sat in that for too long, and that was actually probably making me feel worse. But yeah, after obviously I spoke to a couple of close mates and my family as well, and they reassured me that it's okay. And I realised that, as I said to you before, I'm not going to be perfect. I don't want to be perfect. You're going to have setbacks in life, but there's always a way back. And I've just started stripping it back and, day by day, taking it day by day, step by step, and building back up to where we want to get to.
Someone said that you used the word fraud.
Yeah, I did. I felt a bit like a fraud as well, like I did at the time. But I think by being open and authentic about where you're actually at, you're not a fraud. But that's how I was feeling. As I said, that's who I am. I had to accept it. And I probably wasn't accepting it at the time of where I was actually at with my life. But yeah, after accepting it, I certainly lifted the weight off the shoulders and I was like, all right, let's do something about it. Let's get back to work.
Like the weight off the shoulders from where you were 6 weeks ago, I'm assuming there's still daily, battles, let's just say.
There's plenty of work to do. And we're not,
of course.
As I said, you have these setbacks. You're not going to just Romans and build overnight. And it's going to take a little bit of time to get myself back to where I want to be. But each day you just got to keep trying, bettering yourself and doing something that's going to help you progress.
What are those daily struggles at the moment?
I think, to be honest, in terms of the addiction side of things, I haven't had the urge at all lately to do it. But I also have been I've just got back from a holiday at the moment, so it's been nice to get away. But the daily struggles, like obviously I'm just trying to get myself back to a medium playing field. And I've seen Sean Bell's been on your podcast talk about how you have your highs and your lows, and it's not always going to be high. You don't want it to be high all the time. You don't want it to be low all the time. You want to get back to that medium playing field, and that's what I'm trying to work on at the moment. And I feel like each day is getting better and better, but there's still struggles along the way. Like, I wouldn't say I'm bouncing out of bed every morning, but the more you it's also like I'm forcing myself to get up, get moving, get back into it. As much as obviously I got myself into some bad habits, you can break those bad habits by getting yourself back into good habits. It's not going to be that easy at the start, but the more and more you keep doing it, the easier it's going to get. So that's what I'm really, really doing at the moment. And I've been grateful for where we're at as well. Been just grateful for each day to be, breathing, being alive, and trying to get something out of every day.
Take me back to, I know we sort of skimmed over it before, but you tossing up 6 weeks ago, weather was all too hard. Like, what was what were you like then?
To be honest, I wasn't in a great place. Mentally, I was just battling. I didn't really have much to give. But then, something inside of me I clicked, and I go, I don't want to live like that anymore. And I want to get out there and I want to help others that have been in the same position I've been. And I want to lead by example because I've got some big plans for the future and I want to work towards those goals. And I was sort of a bit stagnated for a bit there. And as I said, I lost a bit of confidence. As I said, I touched on a few things that affected me mentally with the whole footy club and a few mates and all that sort of stuff. So that, my confidence was pretty low. So I sort of said, no matter how hard it is or how I'm feeling, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to put myself out there again and do what we love and chase our passion and be authentic, be real. That's what I always say to people. You be authentic and real, everything else will fall into place.
Would you say the challenges in the past have been a distraction in a way?
I wouldn't say they've been a distraction. They've been good. Certainly, obviously takes your mind off things. And as I said, as we touched on a bit earlier, I probably need to dive in. As I said, I want to dive into a bit deeper my childhood with my dad, something that I'm working on this year. But no, I wouldn't say it's been a distraction. It's something I love to do, and it's something that I'm going to continue to do for the rest of my life because that's my passion. Mental health, running, and my two big passions. And I'm going to continue to chase those goals, and I've got some big plans for the future that I want to work towards.
This might be challenging. What I'm about to say has been said, I guess, from a place of love. And it's just a sort of an accumulation of some of the things that I've learned about you over the past week in speaking to others. So I thought I'd bring up 3 concerns, I guess, which have all been said from a place of love about who you are as a person, let's just say. And I want your reflection and thoughts on what they are. Number 1, he still doesn't have a handle on his addiction, goes on a self-destructive path when something doesn't go his way. A month ago, I thought he was going to have to go to rehab. When he's good, he's good. But when he's bad, he's very bad.
Yeah, it's that's probably that statement there has been a fair statement. Definitely the last 4 months, and that's why I want to get to work on really digging deeper into what's causing my addiction problems. But as I said to you, I'm confident in myself with the support of friends, family, and seeing a psychologist that I'm going to be able to not just rely on challenges and big running events or running in general to be able to stop me from my addictions and the self-destruction path that has occurred occasionally. So yeah, that's a pretty fair comment there.
Are you fearful on that self-destructive, Jack?
I don't like that self-destructive, Jack. Not at all. I don't like it. I was definitely fearful about 6 weeks ago. Honestly, I was like, fuck, am I back to where I was?
Will you just have, because I've described the benders you have, it's been described to me that the benders you have aren't like normal. They're like, days on end. Is that where you're at?
There had been 2-3 days sometimes. Yeah. And that's probably where I realised it went from when it had been a slip up along the way to when it was going 2 to 3 days that it was more than that. So, that was, as I said, I had to accept that it was more than just a slip up. But to be honest with you, like now the way having that, as bad as it was happening, that it happened, that I got to that stage, I'm happy, not happy, but I would say that it's been a good thing that it has happened again. It's really sort of woken me up to realise that I need to dig a bit deeper, and that's what I'm doing at the moment, and it's cemented for me why I do what I do, and I don't want to do that anymore. And there is a much better life out there, and I want to continue to help myself and help others, because it's certainly not the life that I want to live, and it's not the way to deal with things. And this has been probably the most clear I've been in a long, long time, of what we need to do and what I want to do.
Has self-love always been hard for you?
Yeah, I do find it hard to, as I said, like a lot of, even from where I was in 2020 to where I am now, I do find it hard to sit back and just take a moment and just go, oh, I've come a long way. I don't really self-reflect on that and give myself enough credit.
I think that's normal though, man.
I think it's a hard thing for a lot of people to do, but it's something that we probably need to do more. I don't know. If you struggle with that yourself, it's just it's a hard thing, but it's something that everyone should actually, sometimes you need to do and just sit back and go, all right, I've done all right here. I am feeling good. I've done some good things.
I don't think you'd be talking to me at episode 67 if there wasn't some form of I don't know, pushing yourself, mindset. I think mindset's a powerful thing. And for someone like me, I'm balancing so much, but when people say I'm doing a good job, I often find it very hard to take it in.
Yeah.
And it often takes a low point to sort of emphasize and realize that perhaps you are doing something that is a good, that is something good. With that in mind, like what are some of the self-love things that you try and implement or have been trying to?
Yeah, look, I think some things I have been doing is I've taken a moment lately to actually reflect where I was back in 2020, to where I am now. I even just like having a look back through some of my Instagrams and like to see what I've been able to do with my fundraisers that I've been doing. And I think one that's really sat with me lately is some of the messages that I've received from people, saying I've inspired them to speak up about their mental health or inspire them to go for a run. Or like the last week, I've just been down supporting one of my mates down in Trafalgar who was taking on his own running challenge. And to get down there and get down to their community, like I didn't know too many people down there, and so many people came up to me afterwards and said, thank you. Like, thank you for just coming down here. I was having a chat to a few people, like, thank you for your energy. Thank you for just inspiring us and getting around us and having a chat to us. And that community down there is something obviously I hadn't seen before. And to see the way that they operate and the way they look after each other, it was something special to be a part of the last 4 days. And I loved every minute of it. And that's another thing that I love is just connection. Connection is the key. When you're doing things by yourself and isolating, it's not a good thing to be doing, and it's something that I've never liked to do. But when I do struggle, that's what I've tended to go back to. So it's something that I've really made an effort that I've been connecting with a lot of people, and I love it. That's when I'm up and running. That's what I love to do. I love to be around others. Love getting around others, speaking to other people. When you're doing things together, there's nothing better. So that's probably some of the things I've been doing lately.
I mentioned the word fraud before, and I just got a thought back to what you said there about people coming up to you and speaking up mental health and all that sort of stuff. Would the feeling of being a fraud be the fact that you're sort of portraying something on social media that perhaps wasn't the case in real life?
Yeah, for sure. But I think also when obviously I've had some setbacks recently, and I probably will in the future as well. It might not be using cocaine, it could be anything. But I think by being authentic and being yourself, that will hold you in great stead. And the word fraud, it probably wasn't the right word to use, but that's how I was feeling at the time. And
what was the right word?
I'd probably say that I was. It's a good question. Start me a bit here. It's a good question. Good questions to ask. I probably was running away from where I was actually at. I wouldn't say I'm a fraud because running away from where I was really at with my life. Because you can still help others. And I've had a mate that's been going through some stuff at the moment, and I wasn't going well myself, but I knew I still wanted to be able to help him, because I know what I've learned over the last 4 years, you don't just lose that. I've still got a lot of tools that I've learned and been able to develop in the last 4 years that has helped me to improve my life and shape me into who I am today. So as much as you do fall back into some bad habits sometimes, and the addiction side of things does take over, you don't forget what you've learnt. And that's probably the key takeaway there.
Thanks for being so open, man.
It's a tough question.
Yeah.
It got me thinking. I like it.
Of course.
Keep asking them.
That's what we like.
As I said, open book today.
Well, number 2, Jack emphasised the importance of reaching out when you're struggling, but he himself struggles to reach out and talk when times are tough.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been the case. Got to own that, and that's something that I'm working on at the moment, something I've been able to do in the last 6 weeks, a big change that's helping me get better and feeling a lot better and improving to get back on track, because it's something that I have struggled with the last 4 years.
I had someone who had some addictive tendencies and had been through some struggle, and they used the word burden. Is that what would it feel like? Because I'm assuming there's a reason why you struggle or have struggled to reach out and talk when times are tough.
Probably, I would say a fair bit of it has been stubbornness as well. Because I have been able to bounce back pretty well myself through things that I've been able to use to help myself feel better. But it's certainly not the way to go about it. And as I've always said to everyone, unless you want to change yourself, you're not going to change. There's only one person that can do it, but you don't have to do it yourself. And that's the big lesson I learned, especially in recent times. And it's something that I want to keep preaching to others, and I want to practice what I preach. And that's what I'm doing at the moment. And I can't change the past. The past is the past. Whatever's happened. can only work towards the future, and that's what I'm going to continue to do and continue to put my best foot out there and practice what you preach.
Are you confident that the current mindset that you have now and the fact that you've had slip-ups in the past and the fact that you said before that you wanted to change, are you confident, and can you say with confidence now that you genuinely really want to change? Because you said before it's been a 4-year journey, but throughout that 4 years there has been numerous slip-ups. So basically what the question was that, and I know that you said it's always going to be there, but can you look at yourself now and say another slip-up, might not happen, or it will?
I'm confident of where I'm at in my head that with the help of friends, family, psychologists, and the psychologists that I'm speaking to, and some strategies and coping mechanisms that we've come up with, that I'll never want to do it again. Honestly, that's how I feel, and with what I want to do with my life, where I want to get to, I can't be doing that either. So and I don't want to do it. I don't enjoy doing it. It's not something that makes me feel good. As I said to you, I don't do it because I want to go out and have fun. I do it when things have gone real bad in my head and I've slipped back and gone back to that to deal with the way I'm feeling. So, yeah, I'm confident that I won't ever do it again.
Are there similar traits or life events, I guess, that happens when you do slip up?
Sorry, could you just break that one?
When you do slip up, or when you have in the past, are there similar circumstances, let's just say, that are happening in your life?
Yeah, there has been patterns over the years.
Yeah.
When I haven't been able to physically move the way I usually can, that's affected me. That's been probably the main one, and that's why I'm getting to work on finding other things other than just running or physically moving to be able to help my mental health. Because as I said before, you're not always going to be up and running. You're going to have setbacks along the way, whether that be an injury, whatever that is.
Do you know what they are yet?
Not fully. I've got a couple of things that I've started doing. I've started reading. Reading's one thing I've started to do a bit more of.
Does it calm you down?
It does. I struggle. I struggle to readings. I've found very challenging. I wasn't much of a reader at school. I wasn't very good at school.
Mm-hmm.
I love school, but I wasn't that well behaved. Loved going there, loved the sport, but wasn't too academic at school. But reading is something that I've started to pick up. But I do struggle with my personality to sit down and sit still. I like to be busy on the go. I've always been like that. And people say, why do you do that? That's just me. Some people are different.
Yeah.
And that's the way I love to live life. I love to be busy. I love to be on the go.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, man, because I am very much like that. Like, we have 2 TVs here, never been switched on. I haven't watched a TV show or anything in 2 years. But I think what you said before, you're still searching to find that. It's almost like harnessing that energy into something where there's purpose involved.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Purpose is the key. If you've got a purpose and a goal, and it doesn't have to be a big goal all the time. It could be just little goals.
Sure. Small wins.
Small wins.
But like you said before, I've found a way, and whether this is I didn't always have this drive. It's sort of been something that's developed over time. But I have found a way to harness it and put everything I have into. So it's almost like you're sort of searching for that then.
Yeah, for sure. I know where that's going to come from. That's going to come definitely through our charity that we started up, Miles for Smiles. And that's what I'm getting to work on at the moment, to build that up and something that I want to run full time eventually. And it's something that at the start of this year, I haven't been able to put that much energy into it after finishing the run that we did. Obviously I took 4. We haven't really delved too much into that actually, have we? The run.
Go ahead.
You want me to talk a bit about it?
No, you're the boss.
So I ran 100K every day for 100 days straight. Didn't quite get the 100 every day. That was the goal. We ran from Cairns to Melbourne started September 7th last year. We're doing a big fundraiser for our a mental health charity that we've started up, Miles for Smiles. So I had myself running the 100K every day. I had my other mate, Charlie McGaw, who's a co-founder, running 50K every day. And I had my uncle, the clumsy riding man, best support in the business. He was on the bike every day and he's one of the directors as well. And then we had our other mate, Louis, who was crewing for us. So we ran from Cairns to Melbourne over the first 50 days. Got to Canberra and I was really struggling physically and mentally. I was actually coming back to that. Mentally, I was a bit cooked. Two things I love doing is running and seeing people. I didn't want to do either of them. So I took a little break for a few days and then we got back into it day 50 back in Melbourne. And that was the best thing I ever did, take that little break. So then we did the last 50 days back in Melbourne. I think we ended up running 8,400 over the 100-day period. And yeah, we used to get anywhere between sort of 30 to 70 people come down and get involved with the runs every day. And that's what the whole aim was, like creating that connection through movement, getting people down. So many people would come down, they'd run, say that, they'd run 1 lap, 2 laps. Some people would decide to run a bit more, which we loved every person coming down. And that was honestly the big game changer back in Melbourne, having people supporting us with the runs. And as I said before, when you're doing things with others, there's nothing better. So, and it goes a long way to helping you through anything in life. So, yeah, we raised about 52 grand for the charity. So, but I took 4 months off work, obviously, to do it. So I wasn't getting paid to do the run, but wouldn't change a thing. That's my passion. That's my pride. That's my joy. So yeah, the start of this year, I had to get back into work. I'm a landscaper, because I had to get some money back behind me. So I haven't done too much work in terms of the charity side of things, and we all just had a little bit of a freshen up. But yeah, this back half of the year, looking to really build that up, and got some big plans coming up. So they'll be stay posted, and things will be coming out soon.
When you rewatch this, I want you to look at the glow in your eyes when you talk about this stuff, because it's there.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
I love, as I said, our motto at Miles for Smiles is 1 in all in. It's my passion. I love it. I love helping others, love getting around others, and that's what it's all about, connection. And as we touched on earlier, something that I wasn't doing when I was struggling, something that's made me help feel better, connection.
Number 3. Have to go back there.
The hard-hitting questions.
That's it, mate. He still hasn't shown any longevity about relapsing. I fear what happens if he doesn't have running. If he doesn't have a goal to work towards, he just goes off the rails.
Yeah, it's been a fair statement to us. But as I said, as you saw the joy and the passion in my eyes, then the mental health charity Miles for Smiles is what is going to give me that purpose.
Would you say it hasn't got to where you got to where you want it to be this year because of just what's going on?
For sure.
Yeah.
That's had a big effect on it, 100%. But that's okay. I can't change what's happened. I can only work towards the future and live in the present. And as I said, there's a big key I always try and tell people, there's always a way back. You're not going to be where you are forever. And that's what we're doing at the moment.
You said in another podcast, the one with Zachy, there's always a way back in life. No matter how bad you're feeling one day, you might be feeling terrible, down and out, but there's always a way back, and there's plenty of help and support out there. And when you get that help and support, you can come back from anything.
Yep.
I guess it's sort of an accumulation of what we have been speaking about. Do you, when you think about that, for you to say that, what's like the thought that comes into your head? Because you've gone into detail, I guess, about the rock bottom, but it's like only you sort of know what it was like. Can you try and describe like how bad it was?
Yeah, like, as in, do you want details of what I was sort of doing?
Oh, I mean, you sort of have described it, but it was more just like the thought. Yeah, maybe that.
Yeah, we can go into some detail. Happy to share anything. So, yeah, I was sort of using cocaine by myself. Would go to the pokies, play the pokies. Never play the pokies when I'm sober. Those are the two things that, it was using as a coping mechanism. And as I said, the effect that it would have on me, the cocaine was having a negative effect. I'd be paranoid, anxious.
Can you remember a lot of those days?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
I can. And it wasn't great. And I was just isolating myself, doing these things by myself, and then I'd isolate in my room, wouldn't speak to anyone. And it was just complete opposite of what I want to preach and what I say to other people. And I had to accept I needed to start practicing what I preach. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. As I said, I can't change what's happened in the past. I can only work towards the to the future and getting to work on those goals and that passion. And there's only one way to do that, and that's taking steps along the way. And I feel like what's going to be great for the thing about Miles for Smiles, I've lived this journey. This is going to be about what I've experienced and be able to help other people along the way through my experiences and my uncle's experience, Charlie's experience, Louis' experience, and that's what we're going to continue to make Miles for Smiles about. And as I said before, our main motto is one in, all in. We don't leave anyone behind. And that's when I needed support, my mates were there checking in on me all the time. As much as I was pushing them away, they were still there. And that just having that little bit, that message, that support goes a long way to just even making yourself feel better and know that you've got people there supporting you. Even though I was pushing them away, just those messages go a long way to helping.
If Jack's listening to this in 5 years, what would make him happy?
It's a great question. I think I just want to be real, authentic, be the best version of myself, and treat everyone with respect in the way that I want to be treated, and be able to build up Miles for Smiles, because that's my passion. I enjoy landscaping, but it's not my main passion anymore, and I just want to be able to make it work and do something I love every day to bring other people together, bring the community together, bring people together, help others that are struggling out there, and just do myself and my family proud.
Do you compare yourself to others a lot?
That's one thing I don't do. I don't. I have occasionally in the past, but I always pull myself up on it if I'd ever do. And that's one thing. When I'm at my best, I'd never compare myself to anyone else. And that's the one thing I'd always tell to people as well. Because people ask me, say, I can't run 100K. And I go, that's all right. You don't need to run 100K. Never compare yourself to anyone else. You go out there and do what you love, do your best. That's all you can do.
When you couldn't hit your 100K a day target, you just said that statement, but you were sort of reversing it on yourself. When you couldn't hit your 100-day target or your 100 kilometers a day, were you self-hating?
That's the one thing I didn't do.
Okay, that's good.
So As you can see, I could have easily, I had the goal of running 100K every day for 100 days. And early on, I had some real struggles on the road. I made a few mistakes, which is something I've definitely learnt from as well. And I a real bad case of heat stroke, running uncovered, running with no top on up in far north Queensland, coming up from Melbourne wasn't the smartest idea early on. And by day 7, I think I ran 21K on day 7. Next day I ran like 60. But there was one thing I never did. I never said I was going to give up. And I said, sometimes you got to look at the bigger picture. You have that goal of 100 hundreds, but what my main goal was bringing as many people together as possible, getting as many people involved with the runs, create connection through movement and raising awareness around mental health, getting people moving, getting people talking. And I think even when I got knocked down on the road, when we got back to Melbourne, I was able to run 50 hundreds in a row. And the only way I was able to do that was from the support of everyone coming down and getting involved. And that's why I do these things. I don't do it for myself. I like to challenge myself, but I love getting other people involved and seeing other people have a crack at doing things that are going to be tough but achievable. And when you're doing these things together, you can get through anything.
One of the quotes or the voiceovers, I guess, on the posts I saw was, "But the most beautiful things in life aren't things. They're people and places and memories and pictures. They're feelings and moments and smiles and laughter." Remember that post?
Yeah, I do.
What does it mean to you to hear those words?
I love those words because that's what it's all about, making memories with others. And, when you're doing things with other people and getting other people involved and seeing other people get involved, it was special. And as I said, I wouldn't have been able to run 50 hundreds back in Melbourne without the support of everyone coming down, and something I'm very grateful for. And I'm grateful for the whole team that we had and the whole experience and journey we had. Yeah, it didn't quite go to plan, but that's okay. I was okay with that, and I was never going to give up. And yeah, I've loved every minute of it, and I loved seeing so many people, meeting so many different people, and then the people that I met throughout those 100 days, some of my good mates now, and people that I had never met before.
It's clear to me you got to. Yeah, I was going to say, it's clear to me you got a lot of good friends.
Special.
What's the importance of that?
I think if you've got a good support network around you, it's very, very important to have that, to be able to pull you into line when you're not doing great things, give you support when you are doing great things, and you want to surround yourself with people that you want to be like and that are like yourself. So it's all about who you surround yourself with.
When you think about who you want to be or who you want to be like, I think you already said before, what do you think about?
I want to be someone that's authentic, real, respectful, treats everyone the way they'd like to be treated. He's humble and cares for others, and just be a good bloke. It's not hard to be a good bloke. Be authentic, and authentic is the key. You got to do things for the right reasons.
You're confident you'll get there?
Confident.
What makes you say that?
Because I've found my passion. And when you're passionate about something, anything's achievable. And you put your mind to it and you get to work on it. That's the big key. And I'm sure, like yourself, we had a little chat before, your passion, you found it. Once you find that passion, there's no stopping.
Powerful, man. How do you harness all of that?
That's a good question. Yeah, it's one of those things, as I said, life's like a roller coaster. There's going to be ups and downs along the way. And you've got to, and something I've struggled with, I've got to be happy just being in a medium playing field for a bit. You can't always just be go, up here. And something I'm working on at the moment.
Have you thought about what it looks like?
Yeah, I have. I have thought about what it looks like.
Yeah.
Obviously, I love doing these challenges and getting people involved. That's what I love to do. I'm going to keep doing that. But I've got...
What happens when you can't do challenges anymore?
There's going to be a time where that comes. You're not going to be able to do challenges forever. The body's going to pack it in one day. But while I can, I'm going to keep doing them. And when that point comes, that's when I will have to find something else. But I feel like having Miles for Smiles up and running, which I do have some goals for it. I'd love to eventually run like a mental health wellness centre. That's a big end goal of mine. So it's going to take a while to get there, but that's what I could see going with Miles for Smiles, and that's what I want to do.
You said in that other podcast that there were some big plans or your big announcements or something coming. So is there anything in the works at the moment, or you?
So with Miles for Smiles, there's going to be a little challenge at the end of the year. Little challenge, still reasonably big. Nothing too much to announce yet. We got something planned for 2026, a big challenge. Okay. This year we've got Sydney to Melbourne in November.
Beautiful.
And then that'll be over 5 days. Bit of a training run for what we've got to come.
Is that the record or?
No records, just a bit of a training run. And it's something that's the part that I missed on the road as well. So I sort of want to get that done and go experience Sydney to Melbourne. And then, we're going to have a 6th day in Melbourne, which is what we're getting to work on, a big Miles for Smiles fundraiser day.
Beautiful, man. Thank you so much for today, man. It's been a ripper. I'm sure we can keep going, but we've touched on some pretty deep points today, and it's interesting because when I saw you playing footy, and I've got good memories, because obviously I play with a lot of people, during that time in my life. But I remember you being like a very, very good footballer. And it's one of those things where you were probably going through some things at that time. So to portray yourself as a really good footballer, it's like, this bloke's killing it, This bloke's, back then it was like almost like an elite athlete. This bloke is better than most. And then to have the understanding now of what you've gone through to get to where you are now, it's a credit to you, man. And like I said, some of those points before, I mean, it's clear that there's still some underlying things that perhaps, I don't know, I'm not sure if that's accurate, that need to be addressed, and it probably will be an ongoing thing. But to still be here and to say what you said today is a real credit to you, man.
No, thanks for having us on, Das. As I said, we're always going to be a work in progress. Never the finished product. You always got to keep trying to better yourself every day. And a big one of my mottos, we say, we learn, we grow, and we launch. That's a big motto for mine.
Got a voice memo for you, mate. Good way to end it.
Firstly, sorry for the husky voice. Jack, I'm lucky to have been a significant person in your life since you were born back in 1995, which just happens to be the last premiership year of our beloved Blues. You have packed so much into your 29 years, and the last 10 years in particular have seen plenty of ups and downs. 2020 was a tough year, and I was really fearful that your addictions had control of you and this life was going to be too hard for you. However, since 2021, you have worked hard to live a much different and healthier life, largely through your passion for running and exercise. Through this, you have achieved so much and inspired so many other people along the way. Your life can continue to be happy and fulfilling with the help and support of those who genuinely care for you. You are such an authentic, selfless and giving person, and I love you so much. Our world is a much better place for you being in it, Jack Hanley, aka the crazy running man.
That's very nice words from clumsy riding man. He's he's been a big part of my life, and I'm very grateful for everything that he's done for me. And it's not even just what he does for me; it's what he does for other people. He's just a great human and great person.
Do you understand why he worries?
Yeah,
Why?
because he just doesn't want to see me go back to the way I was, and he cares about me so much. Yeah.
Would you see him as like a father figure? He'd be the father figure. Yeah. Thanks for your time today, mate. Been a cracker.
Thanks for having me on, Das. Appreciate it. It's been an honour to finally come here. Been looking forward to this one for a while.
Thank you, man. Means a lot. Good work.
Beautiful. Thank you,
Thank you,
mate.
brother. That was really good.
Some hard-hitting questions.
Yeah. No, mate, well, that was
They were good.
almost an
It's
hour and a
good.
half, though.
Good?
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, it was great. It felt really free-flowing, apart from that little stump of mine. But, like, in the past, I would have just completely diverted. I think,
I like the angle you went from. You didn't even talk too much about running.
yeah.
It's good.